Good morning. Welcome to our live stream with the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta. So glad you are here with us this morning. We are very happy to be joined by Rabbi Joshua Lesser from Congregation Bet Haparim and our friend David Berkley, who's in New Mexico, but joining us virtually to perform some music. We're in our service now talking about hope, active hope. Our first hymn this morning is number 6 in the gray hymnal, Just As Long As I Have Breath. We hope you will sing along from home. You will light your chalice along with us. You will take part in the service in any way you can. This is Just As Long As I Have Breath. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I greet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as vision my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love. We are so glad you have joined us. It is the best place to watch worship ever in the history of the internet.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Atlanta, a congregation that changes lives. We are glad you are joining us as we continue in our series, Qualities of Resilience. It is an honor to welcome Rabbi Joshua Lesser to our pulpit to preach about hope as an active discipline in times of deep struggle. Wherever you are from, whomever you love, you are welcome here. The Adult Religious Education Series, So You Want to Talk About Race, continues this Tuesday, December 8th at 7:30 p.m. with Atlanta's own Jen Wilsey, one of the most highly skilled white anti-racist facilitators of our time, explaining what white allyship really requires. As with all sessions in this series, the recording will be shown the following Sunday at 5 p.m. If you missed this past Tuesday's fantastic session with our own Chris Martin, interviewing Michael Barron, co-author of Subtle Acts of Exclusion, you will want to tune in tonight at 5 p.m. To register for all sessions in the series, follow the link going in the live chat now. All visitors and guests are invited to attend the weekly Zoom Inquirers class every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. This evening, our amazing congregational leader, John Guyton, will discuss the 7 principles and 6 sources of Unitarian Universalism, as well as share details about UUCA's new home. A link to sign up for the Inquirers class can be found in the weekly update or in the live chat.
One of the highlights of our holiday services here at UUCA is our candle mass. The minister lights a candle from our chalice, passes the flame to the ushers, who then pass the flame to the entire congregation. It multiplies and grows until everyone is holding a flame, and we sing Silent Night together. This year, we will be doing a virtual candle mass where you can send in a picture of yourself or your family holding a candle, and we'll put together a slideshow during our Christmas Eve service. You'll be receiving an email with instructions. It'll be on the website. It'll be on Facebook on some photo tips to make your photo feel warm and like the holidays and not creepy like Halloween. So the different lighting and then how to submit that photo. We hope you will all take part. Stay tuned for more info.
Please join your UUCA community for a Zoom Room virtual social hour directly after the service. Sign up for the Zoom social hour by following the link in the weekly update or the link being dropped in the live chat now. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I invite you to attend our congregational meeting next Sunday at 1 p.m. via Zoom video webinar. Our twice-a-year congressional gatherings allow us to participate in the collective decisions that help further our congregation's mission and goals. At our December meeting, the congregation will vote on our operating budget for 2021 and vote to authorize the board to obtain a construction loan to finance our new home's renovation. Our finance trustee, Jason Delaney, will provide an update on UUCA's financials and present the board-approved budget for 2021. The congregational meeting will also include an update for Project Phoenix from Project Phoenix co-chair Deanne Peterson and an update on the capital campaign from co-chairs Ellen Beatty and John Guyton. Reverend Terrence Strauss will give the minister's executive report, and Board President Jennifer Thilo will reflect on the board's work of 2020 and the goals for the new year. Please register in advance for the congregational meeting by visiting uuca.org/register. Your UUCA board will facilitate 2 more town hall meetings via Zoom. Addressing questions in advance via the town hall meetings helps to ensure the congregational meeting is a timely and positive experience for all. You can join the town hall Zoom meetings by going to uuca.org/townhall either today at 1 p.m. or this Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Through the live chat, we can express love and care for each other. As UUs, we know that we have a lot of varied opinions. It is the strength of our faith and our congregation that the YouTube chat, though, it is for our congregation. The YouTube chat, though, is not the place to voice and discuss these opinions as they take away from the flow and experience of the service. If you wish, please use our live chat feature for 3 purposes: to welcome and support one another, to affirm the hard work and effort of the worship leaders, and to spread good vibes. If you have questions or concerns about the sermon or worship, please contact Reverend Taryn or the staff directly via email. If you notice yourself becoming upset during the worship service, please know that we have a lay minister standing by in our live chat. Reach out to lay minister Tracy Gagne, and she will arrange a phone call with you offline so that others can enjoy the service. And now, I invite you into gentle care on our live stream. Please take a moment to welcome each other and to welcome anyone who may be visiting into this morning's worship. I hope you have your chalices ready. So let's say the chalice lighting words together. May the light of this flame illuminate our tradition of seeking, invite all who yearn for acceptance, and ignite our passion for justice and peace.
Now, as we are in the second week of Advent, we light 2 candles, a candle of hope and a candle of love.
Good morning, friends. I'm David Berkley. I've had the great pleasure of joining your beautiful congregation on several different occasions to share songs with you. Alas, it's not possible for us to be together in person, and so I'm here in my studio in Santa Fe on a very cold morning. It is snowing here, and I'm hoping to sing a couple of songs for your morning service. I'd like to start with one that is new off my new record, Oh Quiet World. The song is called Beside the Shuttered Doors, and I wrote it just after my family kind of escaped from Spain. We were living in Madrid when Corona came through. And this is a song about trying to find the light through this time, trying to see if we can come through and come out the other side better and kinder. And that's not always the easiest spirit to kindle, but it is the hope that I still have and the hope with which I will sing this song for you. The city is silent like a ghost on the cobblestones. Even the church bells do not ring. The winds, they are blowing off the coast down the alleyways, sweeping beside the shuttered doors. Oh, quiet world, maybe now we'll know all we really need. I need to know you're fine. But I couldn't see it all before. We couldn't see we wanted more. And after it all, may we not be the same. Yeah, when we come back, may we come back changed. Oh, let us be washed in the pouring rain. Now all we want to know is when this too shall pass, when we can be who we used to be, 'cause we don't know how to bow and bend till things really get bad. Maybe it's time at last. I couldn't see it all before. We couldn't see we wanted more. After it all, may we not be the same. Yeah, when we come back, may we come back changed. Oh, let us be washed in the pouring rain. Oh, let us be washed. Last night the moon rose over balconies, silver and wise. Never the quiet face of change. If we can get through this, then maybe we can get through it all. Give us another chance. But I couldn't see it all before. We couldn't see we wanted more. And after it all, may we not be the same. Yeah, when we come back, may we come back
Thank you so much, David. Now let us rise in body or in spirit and join the Liebman-Honeycutt family in this morning's movement prayer.
We bow to honor the spirit of life. We lift our arms and embrace the gifts of spirit. We bring these gifts unto ourselves with gratitude and breathe and smile. We share these gifts with the world. We remember to be present, honor, embrace, gratitude, share, be present.
Stay. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open. I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Let us put hands on our hearts. Feel the warm connection. Let love in this moment flow. Say to yourself silently, I will love myself, I will love others, and that love will heal the world. At this time, we hear the joys and sorrows of our congregation. Let us send healing thoughts to Leanne Williams. Leanne is having elective surgery on Monday and is expected to come home on the same day. Cards, texts, and emails are welcome. No calls, please. Let us wish Robin Stincy a speedy recovery. Robin is being treated for a painful leg ulcer. Cards, emails, and calls are appreciated. We send love to the community of Middle Collegiate Church, where our minister, Reverend Terrence Strauss, served as a ministerial intern. Middle Sanctuary was destroyed by a fire in the early hours of December 5th, along with the Tiffany windows and New York's Liberty Bell. Middle has been an important landmark in New York's East Village, offering sanctuary and solace for so many who have felt safe, known, and loved for the first time. They will rebuild, but this loss is devastating, and we send them loving energy. We hold in our hearts people who are struggling with loneliness, grief, loss, or illness across the world. May all beings find connection. May all people find comfort. May all of us find ways to be more loving to one another. As humans have gathered for millennia, so we gather this day to gently surrender to something beyond ourselves, to humbly acknowledge our mistakes, to ask forgiveness, to seek hope and renewal, to honor the earth that supports and sustains life, to remember that all beings are all inextricably and mysteriously connected. Now we still our bodies, we still our minds, we take in a deep breath, and we exhale. We relax into this space that our intentions make sacred. We enter into the wise silence.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl its wings. I know this rose will open.
Good morning. I'm Laura Beth Brown, Director of Lifespan Religious Education, and our story today is about two brothers, Alex and his younger brother, George. Well, one day, Alex fell onto his bed and sighed. It was cloudy and rainy and foggy outside. He turned his head over to the window, looked at the garden, and even the flowers' heads were drooping. It was just that kind of day. So Alex rolled over and buried his head in his pillow. Well, suddenly, George burst through his door. Quick, quick, take a look at the... What are you doing? Sleeping. Liar. Alex peered at George with one eye. Well, what are you doing besides annoying me? George grinned, showed off his brand new green galoshes, put his thumbs underneath the shoulder straps of his dinosaur backpack, and said, "We're going on an adventure, just like we used to." Alex just closed his eyes, was thinking, no, but George said, "But didn't you see it?" "See what?" George jumped onto his bed, crawled over to the window. "The rainbow, there's a rainbow." Alex pulled himself up, looked out the window, and said to George, "All I see is fog. You have to look above the fog. Here, if you use my special binoculars, you'll see it." And George made binoculars out of his hands and put them up to Alex's eyes. "Do you see it?" Alex was about to say no. Alex had said no a lot lately, but his brother's hands were so small and clammy with excitement. "Oh yeah. And something moved Alex about this moment too. "Yeah, I see it." George pulled a torn page from the atlas out of his backpack. I plotted it on a map. Here, you can find the pot of gold in Blackpool. That's quite a distance. Did you mean Blackpool or did you mean Blackpool? The pond down the road is sort of black and it's a pool of water. Do you want to try there first? Yeah. Wait, are you actually coming, like actually? You need help finding that pot of gold, right? Yeah. But then George paused and looked out the window and noticed that the fog had thinned to reveal a nondescript sky. Well, what if there isn't really a rainbow? I can't really see one. Can't you? And Alex made his hands out of binoculars and put them up to his little brother's eyes. Well, just then outside, a bird began singing, or perhaps it was singing all along. And the sky cleared, the flowers lifted their heads up. A day, a world filled with color. And George said, "Yes, I can see it."
Over the last several months, I have had the privilege to be a stewardship co-chair, working with George Macon, the other co-chair, and Letta Wu and Kay Johnson, the dynamic co-chairs of last year's campaign. This opportunity has allowed me to connect with the UUCA community deeply, witnessing the generosity and caring you have for UUCA. Over the years, as I've become more passionately committed to UUCA, I understand the importance of stewardship and making a financial commitment. Years ago, and this is embarrassing to admit, I remember sitting in the sanctuary doing stewardship testimonials and rolling my eyes, thinking, why do I have to listen to this during the worship service? I came here to hear the sermon, or the music, or to sit in silence and meditation, not to hear about pledging and money. Wow, how my attitude has changed. How did that change come about? Slowly, over time, one connection at a time, one committee at a time, one party at a time, one phone call at a time, one protest at a time. Over time, I had become an active member of UUCA. When I came here in 1996, I was looking for a religious home for my kids, sporadically attending for many years. 10 years later, as my mom was dying, I was going through a divorce, and my kids had moved out. I was broken and lonely. I needed to find a deeper connection with this beloved community. I began to give of myself, my time, my talents, and yes, my treasures. A beautiful change occurred. The more I became engaged, the deeper my feelings and connections developed. UUCA became my home, a place that offers me hope for the future while taking action in the present. My attitude towards stewardship and testimonial shifted. I no longer roll my eyes. I recognize the importance of giving. Giving keeps our fabulous staff and ministries alive. Giving will keep this congregation thriving for the next generations. The time to pledge is now. If you have already pledged, I thank you. If you have been waiting until the last minute, well, the last minute is here. Please pledge today. Together, we can keep UUCA strong. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
Hi again. Now I would like to sing you my song, This Be Dear to Me. which is really a prayer to Adonai to help us remember what is worth fighting for, what we hold dear, what really matters. And it's a message that is probably relevant and important at all times, but maybe particularly so now. And I would invite you to sing along with me if you feel comfortable doing so. At the end of each verse, I say, "This be dear to me," after I've said a few things that I hold dear. And if you would like to, you can sing that with me as well, and we can have a virtual, prayerful sing-along. Oh, the water in the stream, flowing through the centuries, through the canyons, through the trees, this be dear to me. And the breezes as they blow from across the seas through your window, where they come from, where they go, this be dear to me. Oh, this be dear to me. I believe this is what's worth fighting for. Oh, help us see that there is so much more. Adonai. And the desert vast and wide, silent under endless skies, and then you put your hand in mine, this be dear to me. Or when you wake still warm from sleep, half a dream, your soft lips speak, safe and near me you I'll keep, this be dear to me. Oh, this be dear to me. Oh, I believe this is what's worth fighting for. Oh, help us see that there is so much more. Adonai, Adonai. Oh, the autumn rust and gold, winter mornings crisp and cold, then in spring the world unfolds, this be dear to me. Oh, this be dear to me. Oh, the whole world's whispering, the morning rains, the prayer bells ring, the eagle cries, the great whales sing, this be dear to me. Oh, this be dear to me. And oh, I believe this is what's worth fighting for. And help us see that there is so much more. Adonai, Adonai. And if I leave this world too soon, far beyond the silver moon, look, there's love in all that's true, this be dear to me. Live your life with love and truth, this be dear to me. Feel the love surrounding you, this be dear to me. Oh, this be dear to me. Oh, this be dear to me. Yes, you are dear
And now please join me in the dedication of the offering. To the work of this congregation, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action
we call community, we dedicate our
and these our offerings.
So I want to thank you and give a special thanks to Reverend Terrence Strauss for this opportunity to be joining you this morning and this opportunity to offer some thoughts and reflections. And I look forward to a time where we can actually do this in person. So hopefully I'll have an invitation to return to be in the midst of your warmth. And instead today I conjure that and just bask in the appreciation that David Berkley is a friend to this congregation and has been a great friend to our congregation. And so the many ways that we weave threads of community together is really lovely. And so it's great to be here with that. So I've also selected some music for today's reading, and it gives you a little bit of understanding of who I am and who our congregation is, because it combines the music of Beit Chaverim, which means House of Friends, the congregation I've served for 21 years, and the video creation is the talents of my husband, Alessandro Romaldis. The song that serves as our reading that you'll hear is a mashup of Tears for Fears by Mad World and a popular Hebrew spiritual teaching about the world being a narrow bridge. And I selected this because the song is a dialogue between our overwhelm, our denial, the despair that we can feel, and the power of what hopeful action can do. The Hebrew that you hear in this song is a teaching from a prolific and beloved 18th century Hasidic rabbi. His name is Reb Nachman of Bratslav, and despite his many struggles, he engaged in spiritual practices to cultivate hope and joy. And he taught them as forms of resilience and resistance. The words of the song translate to, the entire world is just a narrow bridge. The essential thing is to have no fear. But these words actually differ slightly from what his intended teaching was, which isn't that we shouldn't have fear, but that fear should not be the only thing that we cultivate in our lives. And when we watch this video paired with this song, it invites us to reflect on our connection to our natural world, to its rhythms, to its beauty, and to the overwhelm of our lives, where we forget or even sometimes exploit that connection. And to know that there is a counter-response of active hope that preserves the dignity of human life and the preservation of this planet. And as you watch it, I just want you to be mindful. There are some scenes of lightning that create light flashes, and so if you're sensitive to that, I wanted to let you know in advance. Please enjoy this with me.
I find it hard to take. When people run circles. It's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Children waiting for the day they feel good. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Made to feel the way every child should. Sit and listen, sit and listen. I went to school and I was very nervous. No one knew me, no one knew me. Hello teacher, tell me what's my lesson. Look right through me, look right through me. Yeah, I find it kind of funny, yes I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had. I find it hard to tell you, yes I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Mad world, mad world, mad world.
I hope you found that as powerful as I do. I want to offer our sermon this morning. When we yelled Mazel Tov, I felt the heat from my face holding back my tears. The grooms, dressed in tuxedo shirts, were nestled in the hospice bed. The guest stood at the corner, holding a large prayer shawl above them. The ceremony ended, as many Jewish ceremonies do, as they broke a glass on a hospital tray using a book, something that doesn't happen in most ceremonies. I pushed through singing the final prayer as I noticed their arms tightly gripped around one another like a seatbelt, trying to prevent the inevitable crash that would happen only weeks later. Jonathan, not yet 29, was dying from advanced stages of AIDS. Barely recognizable from the man I had met at ACT UP, the AIDS coalition to unleash power, he had been a brilliant activist whose passion had seemed undaunted. I begged off as they served the champagne, thinking, how can they celebrate, I wondered. Already by 25, I had amassed a long list of friends claimed by that pandemic, and now I was confronted by the fact that I was officiating my first same-sex ceremony as a rabbinical student in a hospice. Things felt torn asunder, as if shattering the glass was the most truthful thing and belying the big waiting questions that were underneath the surface for me. How does one live in the face of so much brokenness? Later that evening, my roommate, a fellow AIDS activist, asked what was wrong. Laying bare my despair before him, officiating a wedding for a dying friend felt absurd. As my cynicism, my anger, and grief poured forth, he reflected, Josh, don't they deserve happiness too? What if officiating their commitment ceremony was their lifeline? Even in a hospice, I said, he's dying. How can that be helpful? Josh, everyone deserves to have joy, even in the face of tragedy. sometimes especially in the face of tragedy. Who are you to deny them that? Remember what Harvey Milk said? You gotta give them hope. And in a similar way, I believe we have spent 9 months of this pandemic, dislocated, disoriented, and sometimes feeling broken, if we're honest. A funeral on Zoom is not so different from a wedding in a hospice. Different pandemics, different consequences, but familiar territory. Despair, isolation, and questioning the utility of things sometimes. Even with a vaccine on the horizon, we have winter to contend with where we must move indoors. And we have unprecedented rising numbers. This week hitting the highest numbers that we've seen so far. So in confronting a broken reality, we can succumb to despair, or we can discover or explore and claim what are the pieces that we can still fit together. My friends, I believe this is where hope can come in. But unlike Harvey Milk, I don't think of hope as a gift that we can give to one another. Instead, I believe it is like the moment, and if you permit me, I'd like to share an example from my own faith tradition. It's like the moment during the week following the death of a loved one, where some Jews cover their mirror so that they can focus solely on grieving. So rather than a gift, hope to me is much more like removing that sheet from the mirror once the intense mourning period is over, and actively looking and seeing that there are new possibilities and that life continues. It must continue. Choosing life in the face of despair or even death itself is defiant hope. And I believe that kind of hope can be a spiritual practice that we can cultivate. For too long, there is the use and the understanding of hope that is passive, likely coming from its etymology that implies trust in an intervening, rescuing, and saving God, a God that most of us at our core don't fully believe in. Not that kind of God. At times, unseen forces are at work that can shift our circumstances with grace. But we should not depend on that happening, waiting for something to rescue us. When we only do that, we submissively wait for external things to change, like a vaccine or a different elected official to lead before we go about living life the best we can, or delay making necessary changes. Sometimes the most important thing is to surrender to our reality, but rarely does surrendering to our reality render us inert with no options. Instead, to have true hope is to be courageous. An act of hope, I believe, is an essential quality of resilience. Psalm 27 speaks of hope as a form of resilience. At its very close, it says, strengthen your heart with courage and with hope. This idea of what it means to strengthen our hearts. Tradition teaches us that a new season won't simply solve our problems. But as you move through your season of Advent, and we close this secular year, there is an invitation to cultivate the strength to address our challenges and to garner the courage to face the uncertainty of our year ahead. This makes hope an active process, not a romantic notion. We must have the humility to accept that we are rarely the entire solution, but also that daring to act as if we are a part of the redemption, and that wholeness relies on some action from us. This understanding is precisely why Rabbi Jonathan Sacks of blessed memory, who died recently, makes a distinction between optimism and hope. He taught that optimism is the belief that things are going to get better, while hope is the belief that together we can make things better. Optimism is a passive virtue. Hope is an active one. It takes very little courage to be an optimist, but it does require courage to act with hope. Hope carries a price because it demands disruption and an end to complacency. But to challenge the status quo, we must understand that hope has a relationship to our suffering. Brené Brown studied hope and started with the hypothesis that hopeful people had easier lives with more resources. How else could they be hopeful, she thought. She believed that hope emerged out of privilege. But after examining copious data on hope, she did not verify her hypothesis. Instead, she could not find a single example of moral courage or spiritual courage that was not born out of vulnerability. What she found was that people who lived hope-filled lives, wholehearted lives, understood their worthiness and concluded, like Rabbi Sachs, that hope is born from struggle and enacted with courage. People who had less guarantees in life, who were not trapped by the idea of perfectionism or the need for certainty, but rather who understood that risks were essential. They were the ones making the choices to engage hope as a practice. And so it led her to wonder if our capacity for wholeheartedness can never be greater than our willingness to be brokenhearted. Who among us has not experienced some brokenheartedness these past 9 months? Arriving at the end of a year invites us to attend to our hearts and to realign our focus to increasing the light or meaning of our lives and for that of others. Brené Brown's research also points to why engaging in this kind of repair is hopeful. As she highlights the work of social scientist C.R. Snyder, he makes the distinction between optimism and hope as well. He teaches that optimism is like a feeling, whereas hope is a thought process that consists of 3 parts that we must practice. First, he teaches that setting goals that envision the course we take is incredibly important to hope. Discerning how to achieve the goals with the possibility of adapting and charting alternative paths when needed is essential. And lastly, we cannot be hopeful if we do not take the time to believe in ourselves and our own abilities. Snyder believed, and I believe him, that hope is a mindset that is teachable and can be used as a practice. This sounds exactly like the kind of tools that a congregation such as this would work to cultivate, especially when we as a world are facing climate collapse, systemic racial injustice, shifts towards fascism and white supremacy. We might turn to despair or paralysis or utter hopelessness. And perhaps succumbing to despair in times like these is understandable. But I believe it is not something that we can afford, and that a congregation as talented and as powerful as this one can abide. Instead, I want to urge you to learn to practice active hope. We have reason to grieve, and we must create that space to do so. But that should not bar us from embracing hope, particularly in this season of your light. I believe we must do both. There is a 19th century commentator that was compiled by Shlomo Buber, Martin Buber's grandfather. And in a section that focused on the story of Noah's Ark, Buber recounts the line, "Then God said to Noah, come out of the ark." And so this commentary begins to envision Noah's response, since it began to wonder, why would Noah need to be told to come out of the ark after such an ideal? Wouldn't it be a natural instinct to leave? Why would he need an invitation? The rabbis asked. Noah, they imagined, said to himself, well, since I entered the ark with permission from God, shall I not also leave with permission? In other words, the conclusion is Noah is passively awaiting God's green light to leave. The Holy One, blessed be, said to Noah, are you looking for permission? In that case, I give you permission, as it says, Then God said to Noah, "Come out of the ark." But the rabbis continue their conversation, and they add this line. Rabbi Judah Bar Eli says, "If I had been there, I would have broken down the doors of the ark, and I would have taken myself out of it." Rabbi Judah is perplexed, even disappointed in Noah's passivity. Rabbi Judah is expressing that if it had been him, his sense of mission-driven hope would have begged for the doors of the ark to have been beaten down so that he could get to the work ahead of him, rebuilding a broken world. And he trusts that the rainbow will be on the other side. Rebecca Solnit, in her incredible book, Act of Hope, is like Rabbi Judah. Her book is Hope in the Dark. She exhorts us that hope is not a lottery ticket that you can sit on the sofa and clutch, feeling lucky. She says, rather, it is an axe that you break down doors with in an emergency. Hope should shove you out the door because it will take everything you have to steer the future away from endless war, from annihilation of the earth's treasures, and the grinding down of the poor and the marginal. To hope is to give yourself to the future, and that commitment to the future is what makes the present inhabitable. So, both Rabbi Judah and Rebecca Solnit are sharing that when it comes to rebuilding a shattered world, we do not wait for permission. We do not know what the future holds, but an active hope believes that what we do matters, which is what I believe your Advent season is about. That we have an opportunity to engage a vulnerable openness to the possibility that each of us might have a role in affecting the future. And so in this Advent season, the darkness can envelop you, or it can be used for germination. We can bask in the light of others, waiting for them to rescue us, or we can take the tasks on ourselves and become the bearers of light. So when I look back at my first commitment ceremony, I believe Jonathan revealed to me that there are no limits on choosing hope until our last breath. When I think about my friends getting married, I understand now that we can practice hope and understand that the future is not yet written. I understand how my despair was not the only useful response, and that my friend's commitment ceremony could lead me to see new possibilities. I believe that despair is not a useful option at this time, in this season, or in this coming year, no matter what this year holds. And so I invite you, I ask you, won't you choose to practice hope with me in this coming year? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Lester. What a fantastic message. I feel full of hope. So great. Thank you, Barbara and David, for joining us as well. Our final hymn this morning is a hymn that I play often at my own piano at home when I'm looking for hope. This is Blue Boat Home. Though below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my dry land heart can say that I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun my sail and moon my rudder,
water as I ply the starry seas, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we kindred pilgrim souls, making our way by the light of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor nor port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
For our spiritual takeaway, I invite us to remember that Dr. C.R. Snyder expressed that hope is a mindset that we can practice that consists of 3 teachable parts: setting of goals that envision the course that we will take, discerning how to achieve those goals with the possibility of adapting and charting alternative paths when they're needed, when we encounter obstacles, and lastly, believing in ourselves and our abilities. And if you permit me just to share personally, that I know that when I am at my lowest, I have found that when I step out of my own situation or story and offer light, a way to help another, it actually lightens my own. And so I pray that some words that I have said have offered some inspiration, and that each of us will leave this space and offer that light to another. And so as we extinguish our chalice this morning, I want to invite all of us to remember that hope is an active practice. It's not a romantic notion. That notion doesn't serve us. And so that when we take our future in our hands and we hear the call to do our part to heal a shattered world, when we break down the doors, we will likely encounter the rainbow on the other side.